Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Tommy Breedlove about leading others with courage, conviction, and passion. Tommy Breedlove, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
John, it's an honor, and I'm grateful to be here, my brother.
Yeah, it's great to be with you. I'm super excited. This has been rescheduled, and we were talking in the pre-interview. We had to reschedule because you lost your voice, and I didn't know the reason why. I just figured you got sick or something. And it turns out you were at the national championship football game and got to see Georgia win and screamed your head off, apparently. So
it wasn't just me. It was 40,000 or 50,000 of our good UGA Georgia Bulldog friends, and it had been 42 years. We finally won a national championship, and even just as importantly, we finally learned how to beat the University of Alabama. So it was a really special moment, and I lost it for a couple of days. And when you use your voice for a living, so thank you for your flexibility and forgiveness, but it was for a really good cause.
That is, and I'm not, particularly a Georgia fan, but I love to see Alabama lose. So, so anytime any team can beat Alabama, I'm clapping. So,
it's so funny. We in the Georgia area have been very blessed this year that the Atlanta Braves and the Georgia Bulldogs both won championships. And in both situations, no one was rooting for the Astros against the Atlanta Braves, and no one was unless the Astros fans, no one was rooting for Alabama. They were rooting for Georgia. So we had the country behind us. So I think that's why we actually won both of them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to have a nice conversation with you today. We're going to be exploring leadership and leading others with courage, conviction, and passion. As we get started, I wanted to share Tommy's bio with everybody. Tommy Breedlove is the Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestselling author of the book Legendary and the founder of the Legendary Life Movement, a movement that empowers driven people to be pros in leadership, business, mindset, and their relationships. Tommy challenges high achievers to stop chasing the ghost of more and when and lean into the legendary leaders, spouses, and humans they were born to be. As a premier leadership, business, relationships, and mindset coach who is regularly featured, a keynote speaker at global events, Tommy started his 20-year corporate career at one of the largest financial consulting firms in the world and eventually became a shareholder, the international practice leader, and a member of the board of directors for one of the largest public accounting and financial firms in the Southeast U.S. And I could go on and on, Tommy. Wonderful career and background. Anything else, though, you would like to highlight or mention to listeners before we dive on in?
That was very good. And that was a thorough bio. So thank you for that, man. Let's lean in and give them the work. Let's give them what they want, brother. I'm ready to rock.
Okay. Awesome. So leadership is a passion of yours, clearly. It's a passion of mine as well. And speaking on leadership is always a lot of fun, and you can have really great conversations with people. And I think most people who are in leadership roles, they want to know how to do better. They want to know how to be good for their team. But getting from talking about it, getting from thinking about it in the abstract to actual practice can be really challenging for most people. The most well-intended person who has all the ideas in their head of what they want to do, translating that into practice can be very challenging. And so as we talk today, we're going to talk both in the abstract form. We're going to talk about some big ideas, and we're going to talk about things that hopefully will get people excited. But I also, for listeners, invite you to think about specific things you can take away from this that you can apply today in your teams, because I think leadership is one of those areas where we can constantly be growing, constantly developing. It doesn't matter if you've been a senior executive for 30 years or you're just a new supervisor of a small team of 3 people, you have a chance to learn and grow and lean into this. So I'm excited to talk about this both from a conceptual standpoint, but also from a practical and application related standpoint. Let's start with the idea of courage, conviction, and passion in leadership. Why are those elements so important in your mind?
So I'll start with this just to tell a quick joke. If you're a senior executive and you've been in leadership for 30 years, you probably need to listen to this the most because you're drinking your own Kool-Aid. Ask me that question again, brother. So I can, hey, I've been there, by the way. That was me. And it took a real slap in the face to get it back. So ask your question one more time, brother, so I make sure I answer it specifically.
Yeah. And I'll just reiterate what you just said. That's a very good point. And again, regardless of intention, I think many leaders tend to, over time, the more experienced you are, the more you tend to get surrounded by people who think similarly to you. You get surrounded by suck ups and sycophants, and pretty soon, if you're not proactively trying to get out of your bubble, you can drink your own Kool-Aid, and then you don't you don't know what you don't know, and you have big blind spots. So that is a really important point to double click on and hone in on. So the question was courage, conviction, passion. Why are those so essential as we're trying to develop ourselves as leaders?
So courage, conviction, passion, to me, the number one attribute that people want in their leaders, whether you're a leader at home, leader in business, leader in life, or leader of a community or an organization, is confidence. And all of those attributes you just said comes down to confidence. And the number one issue with us as leaders, I'm talking to myself here, is self-awareness. Know thyself. So let's start with confidence, which is your courage, conviction, passion. There's 2 ways to develop confidence. So confidence is a 2-way street. One is by doing the reps and working the craft. Whatever you do, whatever your craft is it leadership? Is it people? Is it golf? Is it cooking? Whatever your craft is it IT? Is it operations, finance, or leadership? You have to work that craft every day. And the greats work their craft every day, but they also have coaches and an inner circle and board members who help them with their blind spots, who help them reprove. You look at the great athletes, musicians, and executives, including yours truly. I'm in the coaching and executive business, and I have a coach. I'm in the mastermind business, and I'm in a mastermind because I want to continue sharpening my pencil, continuing seeing the blind spots, and continually be held accountable to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. So confidence, the first part of confidence, is about doing the reps and working with others to help make you better and to constantly be reading and improving and growing in that craft. Here's the hard part. Number 2 part of confidence is cultivating your self-esteem, because the hardest thing to lead is ourselves. So how are we going to get respect if we don't respect ourselves? How are we going to lead others if we don't lead ourselves? How are we going to walk the walk if we don't feel the same way, or we're not walking, we're just talking the talk and not walking the walk? And here's the woo-woo part that's so true. I almost used curse words there. That's so true with all of us. Is how if people are going to love you if you don't love yourself. That's the hard part. I'm being very, very honest. And so what I talk about is one of the things we haven't done well in society is how to build emotional strength, mental strength, self-awareness strength, and financial strength. Chances are, if you're listening to this, you work pretty hard on the financial side, so we won't go there. But for me, your emotional and mental muscles, self-confidence muscles, self-respect muscles, leading yourself muscles, and self-love muscles, we have to cultivate them, and we got to work out on them. So every single day, are you cultivating your self-esteem? Because we see all these examples of people that are world-class in their craft, executives, musicians, athletes, entertainers, but don't cultivate their self-esteem, self-respect, self-love, and they're good at their crafts, and then tragedy happens in their lives. That's because they didn't do the second part of confidence. So for me, you have to work every single day on being emotionally strong, mentally strong, if it's important to you, spiritually strong, to regain your power, to stand in your own self-esteem, not arrogance. Arrogance is loud and insecure, but truly being confident, secure, making very hard decisions that aren't popular. But in order to do that, you've got to do the inner work every day on yourself and to lead yourself so that you can lead others. And I'll stop there because I'm sure there's a lot of questions on that.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I like one of the things you were saying there right at the end that I think is really important to emphasize is confidence I think of it in terms of confident calm, a quiet confidence. If I'm really secure in myself and I'm confident, I don't need the bluster. I don't need to puff out my chest and, my feathers like a peacock, because I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in my relationships, and I don't need faux confidence. Right. And so when I see that kind of faux confidence, and it's pretty easy to observe, you know that person is dealing with insecurities. Now, we all have insecurities. We're all vulnerable, flawed people. And so I don't necessarily fault somebody for, having insecurities and feeling like they have to pretend, fake it till they make it, or pretend until they can figure it out. What I would suggest, though, to those people, or anyone listening, if you find yourself doing this, is like you said, spend some time with some critical self-reflection and try to understand where you're coming from and why you feel that way. Why are you feeling vulnerable or insecure in that area of your life? And you may be super confident in other areas, but in that particular area, for whatever reason, you're lacking confidence. Why? And what can you do to reconnect with that and to move forward in a more positive way? And when you do that, you'll stop the bluster. People will start to trust you more. They'll see you as genuine and authentic. And lo and behold, your relationships will improve, and people will follow you more because they trust you more.
Amen, man. I could have said that better myself, John. And it goes back to whatever area you're struggling in your life, if it's leadership, insecurity, fear, worry, finance. First of all, you have to know that you're not alone, because you said it best. I mean, we all have our insecurities, our blind spots, our struggles, our pasts. Go find the nearest mirror. Here's the truth. It is both the problem and the solution. So I'm going to say that again. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO listen to Steve Jobs' final speeches. They are full with regret. They are full of life tips because of the chase of win and more. So the first thing I want to tell everybody, no matter what you're struggling with in leadership or life, is you're not alone. Second of all, know that look in the mirror. That's the problem and solution. Third, we'll go back to the number one issue in leadership to bring it back, is self-awareness. Know thyself. Where are your blind spots? Where do you need to work? If you're judging others, or you're struggling with perfectionism or control, I'm checking all the boxes. By the way, I love what I do. I get to talk in the mirror all day and say, Tommy, are you hearing this? Because I'm the leader of multiple organizations in this group. And so I'm constantly working on my EQ. I'm constantly working on self-growth field. I'm constantly working with others on improving, knowing my blind spots, my weaknesses, and my strengths. I'm also outsourcing around me to help have people around me. So the key, again, is we have to cultivate confidence by doing the reps. We've got to cultivate self-esteem, loving ourselves, respecting ourselves, getting on the abundant side of life, getting out of that anger, worry, perfectionism, rage, fear, gossip, judgment, and getting into courage, confidence, presence, quiet, calm, leadership, truly leading.
Check out our new weekly LinkedIn newsletter, Alchemizing Human Capital, exploring industry trends via original research and interviews with executives and thought leaders from across the globe. We look forward to having you join us. Bluer Than Indigo Leadership, the journey of becoming a truly remarkable leader. Early in my adult life, I learned about an Asian proverb that translates as bluer than indigo. If you think about the color indigo, it is a brilliant, deep, and vibrant blue, what some would call the bluest of blues. To have something that is bluer than indigo is rare and truly remarkable. Contrary to popular myth, there is no one-size-fits-all or cookie-cutter approach to effective leadership. There is no silver bullet, no secret sauce, no go-to model that will solve all of your problems. The truth is, great leaders have all had their unique strengths and flaws, and have all had to discover and then pave their own distinctive path in their life's journey to fulfill their leadership potential. Bluer Than Indigo Leadership will help you discover your own path and explore those ordinary, everyday actions that will help you respond to an uncertain future and produce extraordinary results for individuals, teams, and organizations.
So it requires daily work. It requires the help of others. And it requires, honestly, to have more positive inputs in our eyes and ears than negative inputs in our eyes and ears. Because if we're constantly reading the news or looking on social media or watching poisonous TV or hanging out with negative people, that's going in our eyes and ears. We're going to be poisonous, and we're not going to be able to lead effectively. So we got to take out the negatives and add positives in. Again, coaching, podcasts, great books, join a mastermind, hang out with positive, loving, net giving people. It's really a simple thing, but the key is that we got the paradigm wrong. We say our families are the most important. Nonsense. If you're listening to this, it's probably nonsense. Probably business is number one to you. Where do you spend all your time? I'm talking to myself. But again, you can spend the majority of your time in business. It's about quality over quantity, but make sure the quality with your family. So we got to switch the paradigm. It can't be business, family, us. It's got to start with us. Because how are we going to lead others if we don't lead ourselves? How are we going to respect others? How do we expect greatness out of others if we're not great? And the only way to be great is to work on your physical muscles, your mind muscles, your emotional muscles, your leadership muscles, your spiritual muscles, and your relationship muscles. Because there's muscles. If you don't work on those first, you atrophy and you become weak. If you don't think we're spiritually and emotionally weak, look at the news and look at social media. So that should be our priority, leading yourself first. Number two, concentrate on your friends, family, and network. Your network is your net worth. Your friends are your net worth. Your family is your net worth. Those are the people you surround yourself. Those are your board members. Those are the people that you cultivate. Those are the people that are going to send you business and love you and help you to be leader. And number three, if you do 1 and 2 right, the profit, success, all the stuff we look for, money, power, status, respect, that will come. But we have to shift the paradigm from business first to us first. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
Yeah. And I like how you frame that. Those things will come. There's 100%. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with some fame and some success. And there's nothing
status.
Wrong.
It's all good.
Status. All of that gives you opportunity to help more people. And as long as you don't drink your own Kool-Aid and like get all caught up in your own ego, then you leverage success begets more success, right? And so it can be a really great thing. But like you said, we focus on that. That's the outcome, right? That's not the initial focus. So we focus first on relationships. We focus first on, we prioritize, our values, focus first on relationships, our family, our friends, our coworkers, and personal success, personal alignment. When we do that, naturally over time, we will have success. We will build meaningful relationships. We'll have great teams who will be successful. And then that we can leverage that into more opportunity. And so let's focus on what's most important first. The outcomes then will come eventually. And I really like that perspective that we can keep our focus where it needs to be. Something else.
Agree with more. I want to add on to that if you don't mind.
Please.
And I'm a money, leadership, and success is important guy. And I love what T. Harv Eker says. If someone says money's not important, run from them because they're broke. However, here's the truth. If you are an insecure, arrogant, judgmental, rageful, fear-based, wealthy person, that's going to magnify all that for the world to see. And all they're going to see is insecurity and darkness. If you want to make impact, be significant, live life with purpose, and really want to make a difference in your people, your family, this world, and your business, money will magnify that from the rooftops. But again, it goes back to leading yourself first so that you're on the positive side of money, success, and power, because we know what the negative side of money, success, and power actually looks like. We've seen it on steroids in our politics for the last 12 years. And in business. So I want to clarify that, because money's important, status is important, power is important, but it will magnify your internal compass for the world to see, and just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well said. And something else you said a few minutes ago, I couldn't help but self-reflect. So I had an experience. I'm going to get a little vulnerable here for a minute and admit a flaw. So I write a lot. I speak a lot. I do things like this podcast. And I had an article come out in Forbes, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. Awesome. And it was about gaslighting and avoiding and counteracting gaslighting in the workplace. And it's something I feel very passionate about. And I observe it a lot. People don't necessarily always do it on purpose, but it's pretty pervasive, and lots of leaders fall into the trap of gaslighting their people. Sometimes even thinking that they're helping them in some way because
Correct.
they're trying to spin things in a positive light. And so I wrote this article. I felt good about it. I was getting positive feedback from it. And I noticed my wife, she was kind of quiet for a couple of days, and that could be anything. Like she's having concerns with her work or whatever. Well, a couple of days go by, and then she, at night, we're getting ready to go to bed, and she's like, John, I need to talk to you. It really bothered me that you had that article on gaslighting, when this is what happened in our relationship just a couple of weeks ago. And I feel like you're completely gaslighting me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it certainly wasn't my intention. And we had a nice conversation. She explained, where she was coming from, how the whole thing laid out for her. And, all I could do is say, well, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry. How can we do better? How can I do better? And it was a good conversation. And it only would happen if I have someone in my life who trusts me and I trust her, and she feels safe enough to come to me with that. And even then, it took a couple of days of her kind of trying to, I think, work up the courage to say something.
Absolutely.
And so do we have people like that in our lives? Do we have a spouse, other family members, loved ones? Do we have friends? Do we have trusted confidants and colleagues at work? Your personal board of directors who can call you on your own crap, call you on your own missteps, and make sure that you're aware so that you don't have these blind spots that can really derail you.
Do you want me to give you my now this is an educated opinion based on a lot of data for doing this for a living, is we are all guilty as charged. First of all, thank you for your courage, honesty, and vulnerability. That was amazing. Best podcast ever. But here's the truth. One of our goals needs to be this, and this is a leadership. So if you're a husband or wife or have a family, or you have a significant other that's very, very important to you, we are not always the same people behind closed doors that we are in public, in our writings, including this guy talking right here. I'm in the pleasure that I get to talk in the mirror all day long and say, Tommy, are you listening to yourself? Because you're not doing any of that. But one of our goals needs to be, are we the same people behind closed doors? Are we leading our families, our significant others, our friends, or are we shaming, guilting, and fearing them because it's convenient, easy? We take them for granted. Sometimes we're all guilty of it, all of us. Some of us more than others. But again, self-awareness, being able to communicate, like you said, having people and friends and a board, and hopefully your significant other who will call you on your crap in a loving, compassionate way, because it just makes us better. And we're all guilty of it. We all to some degree. And we all just need to work on it, be aware of it, communicate on it, honor it. And man, how beautiful is that? I guarantee you, I've probably gaslighted my wife 2 times in the last 2 weeks and not even aware of it, not even aware of it. So it's easy to see it in others, but it's hard to see it in ourselves. But if we have the right people around us who call us out on it, we can only get better. So thank you for that, brother. And that is, talk about leadership. We should just drop the mic there, man, because that's honest.
Well, thank you. And yeah, we're all flawed, and I'm all for cultivating self-awareness and try to have good intentions, but also recognize that regardless of your intentions, it's your behaviors that matter. And so even though, I felt terrible, it was certainly not my intention, clearly it was harmful. And so I have to own up to that. And then I have to try to correct it as best I can. And too often leaders just don't have the courage to face that. They get insecure, they get defensive. And rather than listening and recognizing an opportunity for growth, they instead tend to either put up a wall or lash out or, something like that, that again, just, shines a light on their insecurity. So
know thyself.
That's right. Well, Tommy, it has been a real pleasure. I note the time and I'm going to have to let you go here in just a minute, but before we close, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with listeners how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, and then give us a final word on the topic for today.
Yeah, John, thank you for that. If you want to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing, please check out our book, Legendary. It is a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller. It is on leading yourself so that you can lead others better. It is a true leadership book in so many different ways. If you're not a reader, no worries. I will read it to you because it's on Audible and it's also an electronic, or a computer will read it to you. But check it out. I think you will only benefit from it. So many of us ambitious driven folks have read it and gotten so much out of it. So just thank you for everyone for that. If you are interested in joining us for the Legendary Life Movement, we hold leadership, entrepreneur, and executive retreats, conferences, experiences. We run a mastermind, and we also do group and one-on-one coaching. If you're looking for those blind spots, or how to be a better leader, or how to be more successful, or how to make more money, but also how to have a better mindset and relationships were just as important as the other two, come check us out. We'd love to have you, men and women. We're super excited about all the programs, and we've got a facility in the mountains that's just beautiful, where people come and they lean in to be better than they were yesterday. So thank you for letting me share that, John. But at a minimum, check out the book, and we'll give John a link. And there's all sorts of free goodies and resources and chapters in the book. If you want to check it out first, we'll give him a link. Click on that link and we'll give you all the free goodies and free chapters so that you can kind of get a taste of who and what we are, man. And this has been awesome, brother. Maybe one of the best. I do about 10 of these a month. And just your authenticity and leading yourself, brother, kudos to you, man. It's been an honor for me.
Well, thank you, Tommy. It has been a pleasure for me as well. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a great conversation, and you're welcome back anytime. So as we wrap up, though, I just want to encourage listeners to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Tommy can do for you. Check out his book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. The alchemy of truly remarkable leadership. Ordinary, everyday actions that produce extraordinary results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The alchemy of truly remarkable leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life. Check out Human Capital Innovations magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine with the mission to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We publish issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Take a look at the latest issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.